Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be working on the white MR2. I initially had planned to do the water pump and timing belt today, but the stuff for the new wheel setup came in earlier, way earlier than I expected actually, because at the time of me filming this video it's actually November and I didn't even think I was going to get this stuff until December. And to those who have never watched any of the videos before and are potentially just using this video as like a guide on how to fit a super sticky setup or aggressive setup on, I'll give you a quick lowdown of the car. Here I got my 93 MR2. Powertrain wise, it's all stock. The plan is to go with the swap in the future. For the moment, I'm doing other stuff. So the aggressive setup that I'm fitting, it's a 17x9 in the back with a 35 offset and it's a 255/40. There's actually not any issue. It fits perfectly fine. It's on the front that we get into issues. On the front, I'm running the same thing. So it's a 17x9 with a 35 offset. I'm going to run a 245/40. The other thing I want to note is that most people who do this type of setup, they actually run like a 22/20 offset. I'm actually running a 12 mil slip-on spacer. I do have extended wheel studs. That essentially makes my offsets 23. I honestly had no idea how it would even go, so I did go ahead and do one of the sides already off camera. Overall, everything fit pretty well. I'm actually really happy because I do have a little bit of camber on there still. I don't have any rubbing between the tire and the coilover. Here on the back side of the wheel well at full lock, it still rubs. I'm gonna have to hammer a little bit more. Anyways, let's get to the stuff that you're gonna need to like try this type of setup. At the minimum, you're gonna need probably different top hats. So I have Fortunato coilovers and their top hats allowed me to get quite a bit of camber. They're actually more than the BCs, but it wasn't enough for my needs. So I went and got the Wilhelm Raceworks top hat. He has the like extreme version and this is his standard version that I got here. So what this does is it makes the coilover sit more inward. The other thing you may need, which is just going to depend on your car, and that is a adjustable strut rod. If you have a 91 to 92 MR2, they actually come with adjustable caster from the factory, but because my car's a 93, I needed to get an adjustable strut rod so I can pull the tire a little bit more forward and the wheel well and minimize it hitting. One of the things I kind of got to balance though is the fact that the more I pull it forward, the more I'm going to hit stuff here. Before you get started, just make sure you have all the tools you'll need. Obviously like a jack and jack stands, but you'll need a breaker bar, 19, 17, a 12, some adjustable wrenches, pliers, some Allen wrenches. These are going to be kind of dependent on what coilovers you have. Since I have Fortunato, I'm going to need a 5, a 2, and a 3. So yeah, it's just basic hand tools and easy enough. First thing we're going to do is actually install the adjustable strut rod, and the reason for this is I had a bit of a dumb moment on my part. When I did the other side, I actually did the top hat first, and when I disconnected the coilover, what ended up happening is the whole hub assembly just dropped to the ground. Luckily my feet weren't in the way, but that would have definitely hurt. I'm just going to put this on to minimize the chance of anything happening. Realistically, you could also put like a jack underneath the whole hub assembly. I attach the strut rod here. Obviously there's bolts, and then from there I actually extend the strut rod here until it's lined up with these holes, because I did initially try lining up or putting the bolt in here and then lining these up over here, but that was kind of a pain just because this is at a bit of an angle. So I did this and then extended it, and then because there's, you know, obviously play in the joint, that made it super easy to line this stuff up over there. I can actually see from my angle at least that I got them pretty well lined up, so then I could just put the bolt in. I was too lazy to take off the plastic under tray, so all I did was literally push it up and put this in. I'm not really gonna be worried about adjusting this just yet, mainly because I'm gonna have to tweak with a bunch of stuff. Up next, we're gonna take out the coilover so we can switch out the top hats, and that's literally gonna take us just a few minutes. We got 2 bolts here for the crash bolts. We'll take off the brake caliper and then obviously disconnect the line. Once all this is done, oh, I almost forgot, we will also have to take off the end link. Then once all that is done, we can come up top, undo these bolts, and she'll drop right out. Turns out I was wrong. I thought that putting the strut rod on, that it would support it, because with this like OE, like not modified strut rod, it never fell before. So I just assumed putting the strut rod on this time, it would be good, but apparently not. Good thing I had my hand there just in case. So yeah, be careful when you're lowering that down. It should be fine just the way it is, because it's not like there's any pressure on the line here, because that is being held up by the box. Taking off the top hat on this is actually pretty straightforward. You need a little 2 mil Allen wrench to take off the little adjuster. Take that off. Careful when you take it off, there's actually a little O-ring in there to help keep some of the dust out. I put that back in and I'll show you what I mean later. Next step is actually just undoing this bolt. It's a 21. The Alex Wilhelm one is actually a 22, which is just important to note because, well, not everyone has a 22 mil impact socket. Luckily, it doesn't take that much to torque it down. Yeah, if we want to be technical. I looked up the Fortunato video just to see what the torque spec was on this, and it's literally 2 ugga-duggas. I'm not even kidding. I'll make sure to link to the video down below so you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. I'm gonna make sure to clean this stuff off. Obviously there's some rocks and whatnot. This is the top hat that we're taking off. So here are the top hats side by side. As you can see, there's some pretty big differences. This one has 4 studs in it. This one only has 3. And then where the 4th stud should go, that's actually where the coilover adjuster knob is gonna sit. So we're not gonna be able to put that little knob back on. But at least on the Fortune Auto coilovers, if you have a 3 mil Allen wrench, you'll still be able to adjust it, no problem. The Wilhelm struts also come with the little bolt to install it. Super important you use the one that came with it because this one, I'm showing, this is actually supposed to go this way, but I'm showing it the wrong way just so you can see really well. This fits super snug. If you were to use one of the Fortunato ones, it's actually loose and doesn't fit well. Now when it comes to just installing it, you literally put it on. I'm doing it the wrong way, and the reason I say that is that the first time I put it on, I put it straight on here. I put the bolt on and I tightened it down. What ended up happening is there was still some play in here. Give me 1 second and I'll actually show you. I quickly just snugged down that bolt just to show you guys, and the bottom of the strut, the bearing, sits on there perfectly fine. But even with this bolt tightened all the way down, there's actually play in there. The kit came with this washer and I didn't understand, but it actually goes in between the strut top and then the little insert right here. Now for the right way to do this, we got the washer right there. Then we'll put the top hat on. Come on. I always like to start the threads by hand. That way I don't cross thread anything because I've done that so many times and it's annoying. This thing is all set now. As I mentioned earlier, try not to lose the O-ring that's in here. I have this in my hand. I gotta go find my little flathead. But what I did was I took the O-ring and I just shoved it back on there and put it in place right there. And again, I pushed it down in there to help minimize the chance of debris getting in there. I don't know if it makes a difference, but it takes me all of like a second to do. And if it helps minimize like stuff getting in there, I'm a fan of it. Before we put this back in, I just want to emphasize 2 things. You need a 3 mil now to adjust the, or maybe that's the wrong size. Okay, I guess this is a 5 mil. I'm probably wrong on my sizes, but you need a small Allen wrench to adjust it now. You have complete access once this thing's installed. Second thing I want to note, this is side specific, and on the bottom, they actually do say what size goes where. So I know this goes on the front left. With that out of the way, only thing left to do is put everything back. Well, we got the car back together, and one thing I actually want to know is that I put everything roughly where I think it's going to go. I'm going to be in here probably a bajillion more times, setting everything exactly where I want it, and that's probably something you'll have to do as well if you're going to go with some type of setup like this. It's going to be a lot of trial and error, but I think it's close enough to where we can drop the car down and kind of test fit it. But before that, I actually want to turn the wheel side to side to see how this side is. I did adjust the caster so it pulled the wheel a little bit more forward. Before, it was a lot closer to the rear of the wheel well by just maybe an inch or so. When we turned the wheel inward, and this is honestly where it was touching on the other side as well. So, and it's touching here. I'm gonna go see if it's touching on the other side as well. Probably touching on the inside of the wheel well. It's not actually touching yet. Okay, and just to show you guys on this side right here, I'm gonna turn it, and it touches right here at the very bottom of the bumper, but it's mainly just the front lip right here. I got the wheel at full lock now, and it definitely seems like I'm going to be trimming here. Obviously this opposite side, now that it's at full lock, it is hitting. And something I should have noted earlier is that I did already hammer down these pinch welds. I think what I'm going to have to do is hammer out the wheel well a little bit too. what's up guys, it's actually the next day and I've been messing with the car just a little bit to try to dial in the setup. On the back side, essentially I have 95% of like my steering range without any issue. Pretty much when I'm at lockout, it starts hitting the back of the wheel well. And in the front, I'm actually having issues with the tire hitting the inside of the lip right here. And I do want to note, this car actually wasn't an accident. So the bumper and fenders and stuff like that are all out of alignment. If you're curious how it looks outside, here's just a little outside shot that I got when I pulled the car out. I'm a big fan of the look. I do have to adjust the ride height though. In addition to adjusting the ride height, I also have to roll the fenders still, but that's pretty much it. It's like 95% fitted. There's just a few minor things that I have to take care of. I guess if you get anything out of this video, just know that when it comes to the final fitment type stuff, it's gonna be a little bit of trial and error, and everyone's gonna have a little bit of different approach, because one person I talked to, they actually maxed out the caster rods. They pulled the wheel all the way forward and then they actually trimmed a bunch of stuff up here. Another person I talked to, they actually had the wheel a little bit further back and then they ended up hammering out the backside a little bit so they didn't have to trim any of this stuff up. Both approaches work, just kind of depends ultimately what your end goals are with the car. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.